Lippitt, owner of the Hill Street Group and host of Communication is an Art, the podcast. I'm a communication strategist, a public speaker, and a leadership trainer. Most weeks, I'll be joined by other communication specialists, but every few weeks, you'll hear from just me to equip you, the listener, with practical tools and strategies to navigate through your day with confidence. These podcasts are always non-scripted and conversational. So let's dive into this together. Hi, welcome to this episode of Communication is an Art, and a special shout out to all you new listeners. I'm Pam of Pamela Lippitt Communications. I'm a speaker, a communications coach, and a podcaster. You will hear new episodes from me each week, as well as special editions with guests as we dive into what makes for successful communication. Make sure to follow so you get reminders of podcasts as they go live. And now, on to today's show. Hey everyone. Today is an odd week. I'm going to talk in my next podcast about what happens when you work from home and there's a snow day, but it's not really a snow day. But today I'm going to dive a little bit into leadership. And so I'm going to tell a story and then wrap it back around. I was at the dentist this week. I knew I was going in to have a couple fillings, really old fillings replaced, and getting prepped for a crown, which I've never done before. And add to that, I'm at a new dentist because my dentist retired. And so I just was on edge. They told me to prepare for 2 hours. It ended up being like almost over 2.5 hours. So it was a long time. And I was really nervous. I don't get nervous about a lot. And I normally don't get nervous about going to the dentist, but I was really kind of on the edge of my seat the whole week before it happened. Then happened, the appointment. And I couldn't decide if I should ask for gas or not, nitrous oxide, to kind of numb the situation and how I was feeling as the Novocaine shots were going in and the drill was drilling. I really was feeling that it was a sign of weakness that I had to ask for something extra. Why did I have to feel that way? Why would I think that's a sign of weakness? And so I walked into the office and I took off my jacket and I said to the dental hygienist, "So, do people get gas for this?" And she said, "Oh, a lot do." And I said, "Okay, sign me up." And as I sat in the chair with nothing to do for 2.5 hours except keep my mouth open, and if you're watching this opposed to listening, you'll see the left side of my face is still a little puffy a couple of days later. As I was sitting there, I realized asking for the help was not a sign of weakness. It was actually a sign of strength. Okay, so now back to leadership. Sometimes leaders think they have to have every answer and know everything and come off with such an air of, I would dare to say, superiority, that they know it all. But the reality is, a good leader always asks for others' input and others' help. And so if you're looking to be a leader, I would recommend you not move forward pretending you have all the answers. When you do that, people will call you out, and I don't think they're going to think well of you. I don't. I would much rather be in a situation where someone asks for others' support. It's kind of like calling for a help desk for software. So for one of my clients, I use a pretty lot of QuickBooks. And, there's always questions. And I called in earlier this week and I said to whoever answered, whoever was my helper person that day because we paid for the support. Can you tell me how I'm supposed to do this and this? And I got that stupid feeling, not stupid, that's that gut feeling that she was learning right along with me. And that was not the point. The point of the call was to get answers, not to get someone learning who really didn't understand what I was asking. I repeated it 4 different times, 4 different ways. It was really such a simple ask, yet it never, ever came through. And I finally, she just kept saying, oh, let me put you on hold and find out. And I kept asking to be given to another person. I feel that our support companies set it up the wrong way, not letting the newbie or the person who doesn't know how to do something listen in while the problem is solved for the client is a real mistake. The client needs to be the one who's satisfied at the end of the call. And it's not, excuse me, it's not often that I will actually take the time to do a bad review or a not wonderful review. When someone helps me, I always do the follow-up review. I always do it and give them great marks and write a couple sentences about why it was good. This time I actually stopped and wrote about why it wasn't good. And lo and behold, not 10 minutes later, someone called me back who knew exactly what I needed, understood everything, and helped me on the first route out. And we were done in about 10 minutes because it wasn't a difficult thing. I just didn't know how to do it to make it work. Asking for help, folks, is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you are not infallible, that you are not perfect. Nobody wants a perfect, infallible person to lead them. They want someone to lead them who understands, is sympathetic, creates a cohesive situation. I always say in the nonprofit world, the best vote is no vote. The best vote is a vote of consensus, where everybody comes together. And by the end of the discussion, you kind of know where everybody is and the consensus has been drawn. And then you may need an official vote for the minutes, but the conversation has taken you where it needs you. That's what I really want to talk about today, the ability to ask for help. I think in my next session next week, I'm going to talk about the 7 people they say you should have in your life as personal mentors and business mentors. I am so lucky at the mentors I had in my life. I once said to someone, I really think I need a mentor in this job. I really am looking for someone. And he answered me, oh, I'll think about who should be good for you. And I said, no, I mean you. I had already picked this guy out because he had a great reputation. He knew how to do the work as well as gain the respect of others. A couple little things I was looking to tweak in my own work bucket, whatever. And so I was really lucky, but I knew what I was looking for, which is really important for a leader, to know what you're looking for, know the support you need. AI is great, and I'm a big user of ChatGPT and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, I still crave, and I think we all, the human contact, the human discussion about how things should move to the next step. So if you're a leader or thinking about becoming a leader or striving to be a leader, follow along, because I'm going to have a lot of tips like this. Tips like when to speak, how to speak in a meeting, tips about being a leader from any seat in the room, tips like what to learn from good leaders and what to learn from bad leaders. From good leaders, we really learn, and how to emulate something we want to do. And from bad leaders, we learn something we never want to do. And so those are the things we're talking about. This is my quick 10-minute tips today. And I will see you again, or you will hear me again next week. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share this with others. Tell people how great it's going. And I will be here again next week. Thanks, everyone. Hi, this is Pam Lippitt from the Hill Street Group. Thank you for listening to Communication is an Art. Make sure you subscribe and continue to listen. We really appreciate it. Share with your friends all those different lovely things. And we will be back soon. Have a great day.